Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. It's going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. So today we're going to do the top 10 epics that you should invest your books in. These epics are end game champions. Books will significantly improve the way they play. So we're just going to crack straight on with this. It's probably one of the most important videos you are going to watch this year. That's hype. Right, let's go into it. So we're going to start off with Skinwalkers. Before I go into it, what do I look for in a champion that should be booked? So think outside of this top 10. What should you do with your books? Pretty much you want to either improve your chance to land important debuffs, or you want to reduce the cooldown of abilities, important abilities. So don't just throw your books into champions because you think they're your best ones. Pick champions where you're going to significantly improve what they do. Don't just throw it into champions for more damage. It's probably a waste of your books. So we're going to start off. Number one is going to be Steel Skull. Still one of the best epics in the game. Can be used in pretty much anywhere in the game. Why do we want to put books into this guy? Insane base stats, by the way. Couple of reasons. So we have got here a really great A1, but unbooked is actually quite weak compared to a lot of other poisoners in the game. 10% chance to land your poison if you don't put any books into him. It's too low. Basically, he would not be a successful poisoner for you unless you get books into his A1. When you get books, these 5 books here will give you another 25% chance to land your debuff. It's huge. Puts you up to 35% chance on a 2-hitter. At that point, you've then got a very good chance, or a 1 in 3 chance of landing a poison instead of a 1 in 10. 1 in 10 is not enough. He's also got the A3, which has got an increased defense buff on all allies, massive ability for clan boss and for your dungeon content, and it heals everybody at the same time. You really want this reduced cooldown here. The heal is nice as well. A reduced cooldown here is nice, but it's probably the least priority out of the other 2 that we just spoken about. But all in all, you've got what, 3, 6, 11 books to get this champion fully booked. If you just landed books here, that's the priority. Priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. So Steel Skull, great champion when booked. Average champion if he's not booked. Let's get into number 2. Probably one of the most expensive champions to book in the Orc faction, Galar. But really, really worthwhile to put the books into her. So she has got... I mean, if you were talking about, where do you want the books to land? You don't want any to land in this A1. All we're doing here is boosting damage. That's not where you want your books to go. Your A2, see this? Remember what I talked about at the start? Reduced cooldown, reduced cooldown. You can get our A2 into a 2-turn cooldown, which would be massive for you. But that's 6 books investment there. And our A3, you can get back to a 4-turn cooldown if you land the books here. Plus, you get a debuff chance to increase. So she starts with a 50% chance to land. She'll book up to 75. It's a significant improvement for someone like a Galar. So your priority really is probably landing books here, then books here, and then ideally, if you got away with it, you didn't want any books to land here. That's how you'd prefer it to go. But she's expensive. 10, 15 books for this champion, but she's one of the best epics in the game and well worth your books. Okay, let's move on to the High Elves, not those fellas, High Elves. So you probably guessed this one was coming. Tyrell rated, I think, as top on my epic tier list. Literally still top epic in the game. Pretty much a legendary in disguise. But if you do not book his A1, you do not get your best bang for buck to get his decreased attack ability off. If you're using him for your clan boss champion, you want this to land. This is really important. So attack 1 enemy 2 times each, hit 40% chance to land the decreased attack. Move that up to 50, get your mastery to push it up to 55, and you've got a better than odds chance to land it. So this is really important to book. A2, you get your debuff chance up here as well. So your decreased defense becomes 100% chance to land if you meet the accuracy check. Really important skill. And then the A3, which is great for spiders, for fire knights, for arena, I guess. But great ability here. You do get a cooldown here. This is not the priority though. Priority 1 is getting the increased buff chance here. Priority 2 is here. And then this is kind of if you've got enough books and you get lucky that it doesn't land here first. I probably, if I managed to put books here and here without a single book going here, I'd probably leave them at that. But great champion, well worth your books again. Let's go into the next one. Number 4. We have got ourselves an Ogren tribe. Yes. Ooh, if you get yourself a Skullcrusher, you are going to be happy because he is one of only 14 counterattack champions in the game. And the other 2 are legendary and they're really hard to get. Skullcrusher is he's actually pretty cheap to book, which is nice. So if you do get him, you've got 4 books that could go here. Ideally, don't get any there because all that does is push it a bit more damage. They're a luxury. So you go 1 book at a time and you hope you land it here. If you put 1 book into him and land this, you stop putting books on him until you've got loads just sitting around. No books here. So literally, you could get away with just putting 1 book into Skullcrusher, but you need it. He needs a book on his A2. Otherwise, you can't do things like speed tuning your team. You don't get the best out of him for your clan boss runs. So really important to get that book into his A2. Let's move on to number 5. We've got ourselves another Orc, Seer. She is a Void. She's one of the best champions in the game for speed runs, for dungeons. You have to pair with the right sort of people. But pretty much, so you're not too fussed about getting books in this A1. The A2 is a nice to have, so to move this down from 4 to 3 turns is nice on the increased crit and weaken, AoE weaken, because this places against everybody, really useful skill. It also is the kind of pre-measure for her doing her A3 on auto. If the enemies have got weakened on, she'll then run her A3 straight away. So, so a book there is nice because you need that to get the A3 working. And then on the A3, again, if you can just land 2 books here, 4-turn cooldown instead of 6 is a significant improvement if you're looking to do any sort of runs in dungeons. 6-turn cooldown is long, really long. You probably find you're already on the boss by the time that comes back. Then it's no good to you. You need it for waves. So yeah, you really want to get 2 books into this skill here, and then she is way more effective. But she's a top tier epic if you can get those books into her A3. So that's my number 5. Let's go into number 6. Feels like this guy's just been around all the time and is still a great champion, probably for mid-game accounts. I wouldn't say necessarily end-game accounts for this guy. Maybe only Faction Wars end-game. But if you've got yourself a God Rabb, he is king of speed. He's arena champion generally, but can do good in dungeons as well. You want him to go fast, but you definitely want to try and get your cooldown reduced on this A3 so that he can revive champions more often. And you also want to get this cooldown reduced on his A2, which helps him fill turn meter and buff allies. The turn meter is really the benefit here, just in case you need to recycle it in dungeon runs again and again. The A1, you kind of don't really want books to land in. You kind of just want to go here and here. A1, I'm not fussed about this debuff chance. It's actually a pretty, nothing skill really. So that's God Rabb. Number 6 is going to be probably one of the best epics in the game. Really cool champion, Madame Cerise. So she's got really good base stats. She is another one of these champions that's pretty much a legendary in disguise. And again, you don't really want any books to go into this A1. All it does is pushes damage. That's kind of 4 wasted books if you're unlucky to get them to land there. But you do want her A2 cooldown. So she's got an ability here that can steal 1 random buff from every enemy she attacks. It starts at a 40% chance. You do want to move this up to 50, and you do want to bring the cooldown down 1 turn, because 4 turns is quite long. She's pretty much an arena specialist, and she becomes way more effective if that drops down another level. She's also got this A3, which is one of the best abilities in the whole game. Removes all buffs from enemies, places decreased attack and decreased defense on all enemies for 3 turns. It's on a 6-turn cooldown to start with. If you can push that down to a 4, you've got a much better chance. And I'm talking endgame here. I need to recycle this ability probably twice before I'm taking out an endgame arena team. It's also really great for the clan boss, not at 6 turns, at 4 turns. If you're mid-game, moving through Brutal, moving through Nightmare, if you can get her going fast and get this ability to always be up, because she puts it on for 3 turns, it becomes a genuine contender for a decreased attack and decreased defense champion for your clan boss run. Really good, but needs those books. That's Madame Cerise. Let's move into the Ogren Tribes for number 7. Ogren Tribes, where are you? Up here. So I'm going to pick out here Maneater. Maneater is a great champion. So another Void. He has got just damage improvement on his A1, so we don't need any books to land there if we could help it. But he's got this ability here on his A2 where he starts to become really useful in other content of the game. Things like spiders, things like fire knights. So he fills, so he fully depletes the target's turn meter, fills his own turn meter above what he steals. You can get that book down to a 3-turn cooldown, which helps you a lot in dungeon content. And then this ability here, unkillable and block debuffs. If anyone's running those unkillable compositions, you have to get this booked out. Need to get him down to 5 turns to give him a chance to recycle those abilities in time, so you can actually get your unkillable comp working. So bit of a left wing one, I'd say, because it's a bit of a niche area where you'd use him, but if you're going to use him for unkillable, he's got to be booked. That's Maneater. Let's go into the Orcs then for my number 8. You guys know this champion if you've seen any of my videos, because she's one of my favourite epics in the whole game. She is a Spirit Affinity, Sandlashed Survivor, absolutely insanely good epic. I just could use her in pretty much any content in this game. So she's got an A1 which has got a chance to provoke, 30% to start with. She can book that up to 50, which is helpful. Not a necessity, it's helpful, yeah? So it's a single target. If you want to just take one enemy champion out of the running, provoke is always useful. But where do you really want those books to land? Here on her A2, reduce the cooldown of this ability. This is kind of like, for me, her best ability. So decrease the duration of all enemy buffs and increase the duration of all ally buffs. So if you've got her in a team that's kind of buffed up with increased defense, increased speed, increased crit, whatever it is, she will put an extra turn on all of those ally buffs. Really cool ability. You want that down to a 3-turn cooldown, especially if you're using her on clan boss. You also want a book on this ability, because this is what makes her different from anyone else in the game. She throws an ally protection on everyone else when one of your champions drop below 50% HP. So she then soaks up that damage, and then she puts block damage on herself so that she can't die. Really cool, really cool ability. Starts on a 5-turn cooldown. You can get it down to 4 with that book. If you just landed one book here, you'd probably be happy. If you then went and booked out the second skill, you'd be ecstatic. You don't really need books here, but they're kind of a nice to have if you've got books lying around. So that's going to be my number 8. Let's move on to number 9. Night Revenant. One of the newer champions in the game, but she is insanely good. So Sepulchre, Sentinel, another defensive-based champion, another kind of clan boss specialist. She needs books in this A1 to do her job right. So she's a decreased attack champion, mainly for clan boss, because she can be used elsewhere as well, spiders as well. She comes in with a 40% chance to land, a bit like the Tyrell. We really want to push this up to 60%, get the most out of her core ability. Decreased attack, if that comes off on the clan boss, you will wipe your team. So this is really important to book up. Quite a lot of books invested here, 6 books. There's also a chance to land another 4 books in a passive, and a passive is good. So, you know, starts off 25% chance for one of your team to take 0 damage. You book it up, it becomes 50. That's actually massive. 1 in 2 chance that one of your team's going to take no damage for a hit. Amount of times I've seen this be absolutely clutch on clan boss or spiders. So yeah, really important skill. And then there's also a great skill on her A2 as well. Increased defense, block debuffs for all allies for 2 turns. You can book that down to 4-turn cooldown. So all of these abilities actually really benefit from books. But it's a lot of books to invest. 6, 7, 11 books. But she's worth those books. She's a brilliant champion right through to endgame. And then the final one is going to be... I can't actually read what I've written. Raziel Jar. That does not look like Grizzled. Right, what have we got here? Raziel Jar, really cool dwarf. I was probably sleeping on this guy a bit. I did an account takeover live on my Twitch. Come and check me out tonight if you're around. And he... Basically, someone said to me, why don't you bring Grizzled into the Spider team? And I was like, Grizzled? I thought he was just like a clan boss champion. He's insanely good, this guy. So, his A1, you don't really want any books to land here. It's not that important. If they do, you get a bit of a buff to this heal reduction. It's not that important. But the A2 is where you want your books. So he's got increased defense and block debuffs for all allies. It's on a 5-turn cooldown to start with. You want to bring that down to 3. It's his like signature ability. Really helpful in all content of the game. 60% increased defense is massive. Block debuffs is massive. Really cool ability here. A lot of people use it for clan boss to block the stun, or if you're against spirit affinity to block the decreased speed. Increased defense all the time is going to be good in clan boss anyway. But against spider, you throw it on to keep your team alive, to stop them taking the spiderling poisons. Really cool here. And then he's got this AoE ability on his A3, which comes in at a 75% chance to land decreased attack on all enemies. Very cool. You can book that up to 100. Now, what I would say, and you can also get a reduced cooldown by a turn. So if he's going to be your backup decreased attack champion in the clan boss, I would say try and get this cooldown. If he's not, and you're mainly using him for this A2, I would say if you landed 2 books here straight out, it's probably enough. It's probably enough of your books used. If you're going to use him for wider stuff, then try and get this one booked out as well. But it's a big investment in books, this guy. So what we got, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 books. Massive investment of books. So for me, I would try and just get those 2 books into the A2, and then hopefully I've not wasted too many of my resources. So that's going to be it. That's my top 10 epics that I would put books into to make them perform better in this game. Leave me a comment below. Any others that I've missed that should be on this list. Also, do you want to see rares or do you want to see legendaries done in the same sort of way? Champions you should and champions you should not book. I've been Hell Hades. I'll catch you all soon.